Hello there, I'm Dark Shades. I haven't been with you for a little while, so I'm long overdue, and I hope that you find this video interesting. It's not going to appeal to everyone, but for those who do have an issue with exes, then hopefully this will help. If it's the first time you're passing through, please subscribe. I need to build up this channel. For those of you who know, I also have a Blackbrightnews channel, which is basically about current affairs, anything that affects us as a people. So this particular channel is mostly to do with relationships. And so today's video is about whether or not you should go back with an ex. Now, some people will say, well, once an ex, they're an ex for a reason. People will say you should never pick up what you put on. We hear phrases like that, but you also hear about people who have reconciled with exes and it's actually worked out. It's just about how they've matured, how they've grown over the years, and how they realize and start appreciating each other. So I'm going to put out some questions to you. And then if you have an ex who's on your tail, you can decide whether or not you want to reconcile. I'm sure by the end of this video, you'll be able to make a decision that is rational and not based on emotion or fear. Well, fear is an emotion, which is not based on emotion. Okay, so how long have you been separated? That is key because I guess the longer you've been separated, the more, if you're still pining and you're still grieving over the person, it does mean that there is something either amiss. There may be some kind of emotional issues. It could be anything because loss, whether you've broken up with an ex or not, it's just like grieving. There's no time limit for them. Some people can get over someone within a matter of weeks. Some people it takes years to get over someone. We know widows who never marry again once their wives die, who have this total preoccupation about the person who's passed over. So there is no time limit. But then again, they would be an ex, but that means you would have that emotional baggage along with that person. So when I'm talking about exes, I'm not talking about those who are deceased because that carries a different strategy. I'm talking about those exes that are still alive. Maybe they've been asking to see you. Maybe you've been pining over them. Those are the exes I'm talking about. So why did you separate? That is a key. Was it a misunderstanding? Is it because you were incompatible? Was it because of abuse? Was it because of infidelity? Was it rejection, abandonment? Was it a toxic relationship? Or maybe you can't even remember. Sometimes you break up with somebody and you can't even remember why you broke up with them. I remember breaking up with somebody and I went back to him 5 times. And every time I went back, I'm like, oh, now I remember why I broke up. But I just couldn't remember because it wasn't serious enough and it didn't stick in my mind. But I think the last time it was like I'd finally opened my eyes and realised that this was a relationship that we're just simply incompatible. Put it that way. Okay, so why do you want to reconcile? Is it because you missed them? Is it because you had a special relationship? He's asked you for another chance. You need him. He needs you. You're afraid of being alone. Because if fear is driving your decision, that is not a good reason to go back to someone. Not a good reason to go back to an ex. If you're afraid of being alone, if you're afraid he'll find someone else, if you're afraid you won't find someone else, you're afraid that someone won't love you the way he did. And I'm talking about female. I'm talking for females here. So I guess you guys can switch it over, but I'm not going to be going he, she every 5 minutes. Like in the Bible and in all these big books, they always talk about the he. So I'm just going to talk about it in one gender, just to make it easier on myself. Okay, afraid of losing him or afraid of losing him. Is it because you're getting older? You kind of think, oh my God, I better go back. That's if he wants you back. As opposed, especially if you've left him or you decided that it was over. And now he's coming back and asking you to reconcile. You shouldn't be going back based on fear. Fear that you won't find anyone, fear that you're getting old, fear that you're getting past it, fear that nobody else will want you. And you forget the reason why you broke up, because that can happen. You can have relationship amnesia. So what do you think has changed since you broke up? I mean, what has changed? I mean, if it's a reasonable period of time, have you been seeing someone else? Has he been seeing someone else? Why didn't it work out with the relationship that you're in? Why hasn't it worked out with the relationship that he's in? Is it because the two of you still have this feeling for each other? Or is it because it's something within yourself that you need to look at and address and improve? Sometimes people go from relationship to relationship because they haven't looked at their own behavior. They haven't looked at their role in the demise of the relationship. And so if you find that you're going into relationships and they're not working, you need to look at yourself. And then if you're looking at yourself, then you can determine whether or not the ex has been looking at himself. If the two of you have been looking at yourself and you realise, yeah, my role in it was this, and he can say, yes, my role in it was that, and the two of you can have a discussion, then there might be hope for the relationship. But if the two of you are in denial and the two of you are blaming each other and the two of you are ceasing to take responsibility for the relationship breakup, then that needs work. Okay, so what does your family say? What do they think? Do they say never pick up what you've put down? Or do they say an ex is an ex for a reason? Or do they say you were good together, why not try it? Whatever they say, it's got nothing to do with them, it's to do with you and what you feel. Don't let other people's opinions pressure you into making a decision. It has to be from you and from your gut. Because we all know, even if you don't know why you want to be with something inside you will tell you whether or not it feels right. You don't have to know what that thing is, but it's an inner feeling, I mean, with me, I had such an attraction to this person that when I saw him, I didn't remember any of the issues that we had. And I had to get over that physical attraction in order to kind of address the root cause of the problem. So some reconciliations last and some don't. They reckon it's a 50-50 chance, depending on, individuals' effort, whether or not they both want it, or is it one person that wants it. If one person wants it, there's no point. If you've got one person saying, oh, look, I'll try, I'm sorry, I've changed, I'll do better. And the other person is making you convince them. You have to keep reassuring them that you've changed. And it's too much. It's too much. The two of you have got to want it. The two of you have got to be open. The two of you have got to be forgiving of each other and yourself in order to move it forward. You don't want a relationship where you have to keep proving yourself, especially if you're the one that made a mistake and you have to try and overcompensate. That's not good foundation for a reconciliation. You can speak your truth. If they want to believe you, that's up to them. But you can say, look, acknowledge what you've done wrong and say, this is where I'd like this relationship to go. This is what I've noticed about myself. These are the things I noticed about you that I think we should work on. And maybe if we do this and we do that, it might work. But don't go overboard. Don't try to sell yourself, because what you do is raise expectations. And when those expectations aren't met, and when you get fed up of trying, and it's like an uphill struggle, and every time you think you're getting close, they up the ante, it's not worth it. You need to reconcile with somebody who's going to be open to love and make a fresh start, not somebody who's been giving you conditions. You don't want that. So, who broke up with who? That's what I'm saying. Did you break up with him? Did he break up with you? Who wants to reconcile with who? Does he want to reconcile with you? Do you want to reconcile with him? Is it a mutual thing? It makes a difference. because depending on who wants to reconcile is the motivation of whether the relationship can work. And how did you break up? Was it ghosting? Did you the two of you go silent on each other? Was there a big argument? Did you just shut down? Did someone storm out? Was there abuse, or was it by mutual agreement? You both decided, well, look, this relationship isn't working. We're not compatible. Therefore, how did you feel when you broke up? Was there regret? Was it a sense of a sigh of relief? Thank God, it was too much work. Relationships shouldn't be work. Yeah, there might be a bit of disagreement or discomfort, or sometimes you feel uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be hard work. If it's hard work, there's something not right. Every time it's an effort to speak, it's an effort to do things together. It's an effort to be together. That's not a good framework for a relationship. So, how did you feel when you broke up? Regret, relief, bitter, angry, resentment? Were you heartbroken? Are you still heartbroken? Do you still want him back regardless? Some people want someone back regardless of what they've done. That's an individual choice. How long did it take to get over it? Has it taken months? Has it taken days? Has it taken weeks? Are you still trying to get over it? And you see what happens in this COVID situation? Don't let that distort your thinking. Because some people, if they've broken up before the COVID, it's not funny. I shouldn't laugh. But if you've broken up before the COVID, and now the COVID, and you're thinking, bloody hell, there's going to be lockdown, and I finished with my man before the COVID, and I shouldn't have finished with him, and I should have stuck it out. I shouldn't have argued about this. I should have let that go, blah, 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 blah. That is fear. And what did I say about fear? It's not a good reason to base your judgment on whether or not you should get back together again. Not because you might be on lockdown, not because you might be on your own. That should not be the reason. It should be out of genuine love and belief that the relationship can work, and the two of you want the same thing. Like I said, you haven't got one who's overcompensating. You haven't got one who's beggy, and the other one is treating you like crap because you did them something wrong and they have to get their revenge. They have to get back at you. No, you don't want that. And that's the thing with taking back an ex, depending on how you broke up. It could be pure grief. You might never be able to get back what you had. And regardless of how special it was, sometimes the feeling just evaporates. Sometimes the feelings just go and there's nothing left. So what you think you can revive, you can't revive. They do have this saying that, when you're in love, it just takes a little match, just a flicker, and it can revive it. But that's not always the case. Some people are seriously over, and you're just wasting your time. So, how much does your past play a part, or how much did it play a part in the relationship breaking up? Did you carry baggage with the relationship? Did you have problem with children in the relationship? Your children, his children, whatever. Were there problems with the family interfering? Sometimes you get family interfering in a relationship. Is that what broke it up? Did friends break it up? Sometimes you have friends that are interfering. They mean well, but they just gnaw at the relationship. Sometimes it's just because they're jealous. Sometimes they mean well, but the focus is wrong. So, and sometimes it's your own insecurities. If you've been rejected in the past, you might think you're going to be rejected again. If you've got low self-esteem, if you lack confidence, all of these things could result in a relationship breaking up. Unless you've got somebody who's patient, caring, and who understands. Because you can go into a relationship with insecurities. You can go in a relationship with a low self-esteem. You can go into a relationship with no confidence. And if you're with the right person, that person will encourage you and build you up and make you feel better. You have people going to relationships looking like crap who've been through the mill, and they've selected the right person who's actually built them up. So I'm not saying that just because you have all of these things, this is the reason why the relationship broken up. It could have something to do with the compatibility and where that partner is at the time. Sometimes the two people are not ready. Sometimes both individuals are immature, regardless of age. Just because you're going out with somebody 50 or 60 doesn't mean they're mature. You can have some men 60 or 70 and they're going like idiot. Them going like kids. They're so immature that, they're all over the bloody place. So age has got nothing to do with it. And then you can have somebody who's really young, who's really mature. So it all depends where you are, emotionally, psychologically, physically. Okay, so how much of your past, if you're with a narcissistic or whether you are a narcissist, that could have played a part, will affect future relationships. Whether you've been betrayed, that's going to make you go into a relationship hesitant, not trusting, wondering who he's phoning, wondering who he's texting. If he goes out and he doesn't call you, wondering what he's up to, wondering why he hasn't returned your call. That's fear of abandonment. That's fear of rejection. It's got nothing to do with the relationship itself, but it can end the relationship if the person doesn't understand where those kind of fears are coming from and is not willing or is willing to reassure or not willing to reassure. So why reconcile now? Is it relationship amnesia? Have you forgotten what happened in the relationship? All those rough times you had, all of those times where you were tearing your hair out. Have you forgotten about them? And just remember the time that you was holding up each other and kissing and dancing and wrapping up and all of that kind of stuff. The little odd event where you had dinner together. You've forgotten that the majority of it was quite destructive. That can happen because you're focusing on those things that you want to focus on. You're not giving yourself a balanced memory. So, why reconcile now? You've run out of options. Sometimes it's because you've run out of options. Or some people think that, when I'm single, I can go out with that bloke, I can go out with this bloke, that one's been calling me. Because sometimes you find that when you're in a relationship, you get man calling you left, right and centre because you're not available. As soon as you become available, them scatter. Because it's not that they really want you, they just want something they can't get. So if you've run out of options and you've got you thought you'd have all these men to deal with, or go out with, I should say. So you mash up with your man, and then afterwards you find out these men aren't reliable, or they're not around, or they're just playing with you, playing games. And then, okay, you've realised the grass ain't greener on the other side, so you decide to reconcile. Is that the reason why you want to reconcile now? Because you've run out of options. Do you still love him? Maybe that's the best reason to reconcile. But not if the love is destructive. Not if it's unhealthy. Not if it's one-sided. Not if it's based on codependence. Is it because you're getting old? You're getting on. A lot of people, I'm going to do a video because somebody asked me to do a video about the older person and relationships. So I'm not going to go too much in it now, but some people think once they reach a certain age, that's it. If they meet a man, they think they can't get it up again. So they think that's the end of their sex life, the end of their love life. No comment. Is it because you want children, marriage, stability? Will you get hurt again if you reconcile? Well, that's no guarantees. No one can guarantee that because you'll always get hurt. We're humans, like I've said in a previous video. People don't mean to hurt unless they're sadomasochists or they have some kind of mental issue why they want to hurt you. But ordinarily, you cannot escape from pain. You cannot escape from hurt. From you have feelings and from you're vulnerable and from you're sensitive and from you care about someone, they are going to hurt you because you come from two different worlds, two separate worlds. You're coming together and you need to find out about each other. You need to know what makes each other tick. And while you're trying to find out what makes each other tick, you are going to hurt. And then once you hurt and you build up and you talk about it, you get over it, they learn a bit more about you. And so the hurt becomes less and less over time, or it should. Like I said, unless they're kind of masochistic. So, and then it depends on whether or not they're selfish, narcissistic, inconsiderate, user, codependent. Try to remember why you broke up. If it's all of these traits, you don't want to go back there. Nothing's going to change regardless. People can say I changed, but these are core values. They're not things that you can switch on and switch off overnight. They take years of hard work to get over those kind of behavioral traits. But if the relationship was honest, trustworthy, if it was respectful, if you were loyal, if you were faithful, understanding, and had good communication, then you'll say, why did I break up then? But you could have broken up for any reason. Some people, they break up over stupidness and they forget the core qualities in a person. And if that's the case, if you've met somebody who has these core qualities, you can reconcile, providing you haven't got too many dormant issues in yourself that are going to bring out the worst in that person. Like I said, what else is there? Idealizing the relationship. And for those of you who are watching this on Wednesday evening, remember I've got Dark Shades Counselling on Afrobean Radio, 7 p.m. till 9 p.m. every Wednesday, where people call in. Well, I haven't had someone call in yet, but they send me texts, and if they've got some concerns, they ask me to talk about it. So I will be doing that tonight. So I am kind of rushing this a bit. So, are you idealizing the relationship, remembering only the good, keeping the relationship alive by thinking about them all the time? Or are you feeling discouraged or impatient? Is that the reason why you want to go back? Not a good foundation, like I said. Could the relationship work this time around? Depends on how each party wants it, how much each party wants it. Can incompatibility become compatible? Well, it all depends what you're incompatible about. If it's your core values, then it's very, very difficult to change them. Like your principles, your core beliefs, things like your religion. But if it's things like hobbies, interests, dress sense, TV programs, food choices, if you were incompatible in that realm, yeah, those things can change. So, and those things aren't that important. It's the core values that you need to be compatible with that will make the relationship, that you can reconcile with that kind of relationship. How's your life been since the breakup? Has it been good? Has it been productive? Has it been sad? Have you been depressed? Loss of interest? Have you become insular? Are you overeating or over drinking? Are you smoking? Did he or she try to get in touch with you since the breakup? That's very telling. If they haven't tried to get in touch with you, you shouldn't be running them down and trying to get in contact with them, because it's not. It just shows that the interest is one-sided. What do you miss the most about that person? And is it transferable? Can you get what you missed from someone else? What have you been doing to occupy your mind? Have you been studying, working, exercising? Have you been self-love, self-development, personal development? That's the best thing to do. Or have you been pining, feeling sorry for yourself, ignoring friends, isolating yourself, adopting bad habits? All of those things will determine whether or not it's good to go back. Because if you want to go back and you've been distracting yourself from the reality of the situation, that's not good. So to summarize, you should only get back to your ex if you believe the relationship can be healthy and fulfilling. And you have to believe that quite confidently. Past behaviors can determine future behaviors, but people can change. 50% of people who return to their exes based on love, it works, and 50% who return based on fear, of losing that person, it didn't work. So if fear is dictating your decision to return to your ex, it's probably best not to go there until fear becomes faith. So fear is an irrational emotion, so fear of being alone, there's no guarantees. If you're saying, oh, I want to go back to him because I don't want to be alone, God forbid, he could, have a car accident. He could die. That's not a reason to go back. Fear of finding somebody to love you, love yourself. If you love yourself, you'll bring people into your space who love you. Fear that they might find someone else, you can find someone else as well. That's not a reason to go back. That's possessiveness. Give yourself time to heal the loss. You can go into yourself, go no contact, just spend some time with yourself, looking after yourself, pampering, that kind of stuff. Keep yourself busy and do things that you enjoy. Take your mind off of it. Try to change your focus. Put things into perspective. If someone is for you, they'll always be for you. If you let a bird fly, he will return. If there is a potential for a great relationship and the feelings are mutual, go for it. And I wish you the best of luck. That's all for now. Bye-bye.